the last couple of minutes aside, that was a professional performance and a good victory.
Yeah, a good victory. I don't think I thought we played better midweek. In truth, different type of game. I think we didn't have quite as much dominance, but we spoke about before the game. The important thing was the 3 points, and however that happened in tricky conditions. I think it wasn't quite as bad as I feared watching the youth team this morning. So overall, a pleasing afternoon.
It was a sort of strange game in a way because they seem to have as much play as you for long periods, but you're the ones who had the chances and got the goals.
Yeah, I think first off we were on top, but they still had sort of breaks and a few attacks that I didn't feel we were quite right defensively, and that's not just the back four, but didn't feel overly sort of comfortable. Very rarely do, to be honest. I stood on the side, but at half time we warned the players against complacency, and that I genuinely didn't feel like the game was over. It was nice to get the third goal, and then I think from then there was a little element of not sitting off altogether, but kind of being in the correct positions and not having to force the game. It allowed me to make some substitutions as well, get some lads some minutes. As you said, disappointed with the last goal. It's far too easy. I don't want to take anything away from the lad. It was a great run. Said to him there, it was, for those that are old enough to remember, just made me think of Cafu, the way that he flew up the wing. But on our side, as a defender, that had hurt me, conceding that goal.
If we go through the game, really good to see Rico get on that score sheet.
Yeah, he'd had one just prior to that from a corner. I think maybe his first corner. He said it actually went through his legs. I couldn't tell at the time, but I think that was an opportunity. Then that one that was a good football, to be fair. Fired across, and then I think it come to tails. He touched it, and then Rico. I don't know if it was it's a great finish. It ends up in the net and the roof of the net. So glad that he got that goal. Then had a great chance after that. I think once he'd had the touch where it went, whether he could have squared it to Ryan, but when you're in there, I guess if he doesn't quite get that cross right, you're going to moan about him not shooting. So he could have maybe had one or two others, but pleased that he got on the score sheet.
And John McAtee getting one just before half time. We were right behind that. You probably were as well. It really did swerve through the air, didn't it?
I'm not sure why he did, Johnny. Look, I didn't seem that great a strike, and I think the general feeling in there is the keepers helped us out on that one. But as John said himself, he'll take that, and we did, to give us a little more comfort going into the break.
And then, of course, getting one just after half time, or 15 minutes after half time, which sealed it really for you.
Yeah, and again, I think overall we were. It felt, not being sort of too harsh on Aldershot, but it felt reasonably comfortable. Certainly after the third goal, and one of those games where you kind of just want to get through it without any injuries, sending off. I wanted to try and get Andy Smith on at centre half, his position, and it kind of made sense a little bit to take Luke off so he didn't suffer a second yellow card and miss him for a game. So it was say overall it can't be too sort of downer with a 3-0 victory, but it did seem like relative 3-1. Sorry, yeah. Thanks for putting me right. But it did seem like a little routine. Didn't feel like we were overly pushed, which again I guess I shouldn't complain about. But I think there was more to come from the team.
But in the bad run, if we can call it that, it was, I guess. This was the sort of side you were losing against, albeit away from home. Yeah,
that game still grates a little because I think from being nowhere near his best, we should have still got something from it, but didn't. But it was nice, I guess. We didn't go into the game thinking about revenge or anything, but certainly wanted to show a better side of us, and I think we did that.
Sean Scanlon got a bit longer today. I'm assuming his quality's never been the problem. It's always been his fitness or match fitness.
Yeah, a little bit, or certainly for a period of time it was. He's worked hard. He's still found himself behind people, but as we said, someone's misfortune can be someone else's gain, and at the minute Sean's getting that, and I'm sure he's enjoying being back out on the pitch in the first team games.
It's been a good week for you, the 8 days, 7 points out of 9, and the win before that. Do you feel you've turned the corner again?
Who knows, in truth, because I didn't feel like we'd sort of gone off it when we, suffered a couple of defeats to start with, and then that extended, and vice versa. As I said today, I didn't think we were really at our best. We played well in little spells and did more than enough to win the game, but did feel we were better midweek. I genuinely did. It's just nice to get the victories. What I would say is, as much as you strive for it, you're never going to play, at the top of level that often, and that might sound frustrating for everyone, but you just don't. And it's about winning games, and we've done that. We took advantage of some of the other teams not being in league action. Yes, we played more games, but at least we're putting a little bit of pressure on. And as I keep saying, we've got some of those teams to play, and of course, some of those teams will be facing each other. We want to stay in the mix as much as possible. I'm just going to go and watch Southend now, who are on a great run. That suddenly looks a lot tougher game than it perhaps was when we played them last time. And that's the next one that we look forward to.